focusing on our imaged thought. If we are of an unusually spiritually endowed or instructed mind, we would have viewed our purpose in securing $5,000 or a business or a home as the average mind views these things. We would have viewed them simply as things. We might have looked upon the $5,000 merely as a means of establishing a business for the purpose of making more money so that we could have plenty to spend, not only for the purchase of a home, but for many other things. And these things we may merely have desired as a means of gratifying our pride, our vanity, our selfishness, our lust, or any inverted or secondary relative cause in mind. But now we view our imaged thought from an entirely different viewpoint, so that we know that what we want is really not the thing, which after all is a very elementary and limited object involving circumstances and conditions, but what we want, that which the thing symbolizes or represents. We want, insofar as the money is concerned, the power to be and to have and to do the good we have in mind. We realize that money is simply the circulating medium, the symbol of value by means of which we are empowered to negotiate for that which is necessary in establishing our business and our home, and for accomplishing those purposes which are best carried out in our business and our home. Besides giving us the means of performing a service, it will give us the occasion to employ and help others. It will make us the means of distribution of something which others need. In the manner that our money represents power, so, as we have already seen, our business represents service and other mental values, and in like manner our home symbolizes comfort, shelter, love, protection, and those are the qualities which we usually associate with the thought of a home. We think of our home as a place where we are going to invite our friends as guests, where they are going to find mental and spiritual as well as material comforts, where we are going to exercise all those virtues which will serve for our own life expansion and that of others. In a word, we now see these so-called things reflected in our minds, not simply as things, but as the very underlying understanding of our being, formed and projected and ready to be brought forth into our outward lives. Our understanding light has shaped itself into the forms of money, business, and home, and this understanding light is made up of prismatic qualities or causes, which in this way become embodiments of power, service, goodwill, protection, love, comfort, harmony, peace, and joy in us and through us. Taking this viewpoint, we need have no more concern with the impressiveness of our object and its power to reproduce itself. With proper light and a right viewpoint toward our thought, we focus our whole attention upon it, bearing in mind that we are now focusing not only on the $5,000, the business and the home, but upon the qualities of joy, love, protection, peace, and happiness, of which these mental objects are merely symbols. These qualities have taken shape simply so that we can see and get their reflection for purposes of outward reproduction. Let us also bear in mind that this concentration does not imply a tension or strained effort of the will, but rather an easy and pleasant exercise. We have said that concentration upon one single object of thought does not mean necessarily that our thought must be comprised of only one thing. It may take in a number of things so long as they are directly related and serve to make a complete picture, And this is so in the instance of the career which we are out picturing. The $5,000, as we have already said, is for the purpose of financing our business enterprise. And our business enterprise is for the purpose, among other good purposes, of providing a suitable home for those whom we love. We see how every one of these objects is a very essential and related part of our thought, and we should not hesitate to allow whatever other thoughts of a related kind that come to us to image themselves and to become, as they will, part of the good picture of our career. Thus, in our thought of the business, we may plan perhaps to include a brother or a sister. We may make it a corporation in which we can include several of our friends. We may include an automobile which will serve both our business and our pleasure. What we aim to avoid now is the intrusion of any vagrant thought which may and will seek to enter within the magic circle where our one definite thought is held. We must allow no fear thought, no opposing thought, no worry thought, no alien thought of any kind to enter through our mental camera eye, but rather must we keep our eye single to the one true thought of our career. Having the best possible quality and quantity of higher understanding, reflecting the $5,000, the business and the home, having a scientifically correct focus and viewpoint, our career now will be imaged forth in a form of understanding light which will permit the very finest impression to be made upon our subjective thinking substance. We have seen that our money, our business and our home is good for us to have, and in the moment in which we truly acknowledge and recognize this fact mentally, our thought will become an impressive one. It will make its impression upon us in the finest and most definite way possible. The shutter of the mind is voluntarily and momentarily lifted. The full light of our understanding moves into and impresses itself upon the sensitized film of our subjective thinking. It takes on the qualities of this subjective thinking and becomes enfilmed and sealed in the subjective, undergoing a silent invisible inner development or reduction on its way toward ultimate matter. And however infinitely inconceivable this reduction is, we can say that it is now becoming a more dense form than the pure form of mental light was before impression. We are now ready to follow our imaged thought in the next stage of its outward development. We now consider our imaged thought as having passed into the developing room of subconsciousness, to that place in mind or state of mind which precludes all outer vibrations of objective thinking. Let us remember that at this time of transference of our thought image, we are resting quietly and in an entirely relaxed attitude, mentally and physically. We have entered into a subjective mental condition, becoming as nearly passive as possible and refraining from any further thinking upon our impressed thought image. There is no need for it. The light of our understanding has passed from the objective phase of mind and is slowly and gently submerging itself in the chemical developing solution of our subsense consciousness. The student remembers at this moment what our impressed thought really is. It is a specialized form of mental light, the light of our understanding, which has become enfilmed or impressed and has now become sunk in the very deep of our individualized subsense consciousness, where it becomes a centre of attraction for the infinitely inconceivable polarized mentoids which are contained in this chemical solution of mind. Resting in our passive or subjective attitude, a great calm comes over us at this moment, a great feeling of assurance and peace, and in most instances we fall into a restful natural sleep. That is, as it should be. In the few moments in which the transference has occurred, the outer faculties have performed their function. The inner subjective and subconscious phase of mind is now at work, and further formulation of our mental picture of the money, the business, and the home has begun. A law of development is at work. It is not our individualized objective consciousness which is now busy with our career, but our subjective consciousness, working upon and worked upon by our understanding, which is now gathering together for itself and around its delicate form of light and further mental chemical structure for its outward manifestation. Our objective attitude of mind from this point on becomes, as we know, simply one of cooperation, and this cooperation is exemplified best when our thinking and acting in all our daily outward affairs is directed continually in ways which will facilitate the development of our thought. We must have an understanding faith in the outcome of our developing picture. We must henceforth be true and loyal to the subjective forces working for us. We must be mentally alert to their direction. We must be patient. We must help by getting into the spirit of our picture. We must love it, as it were, into existence. But separate from this, we know that a movement of the underlying natural forces of this substance of our subconscious thinking or mind solution now has been started in motion, carrying our projected understanding or thought with them, not only to the very depths of our own individualized subconsciousness, but to all other minds which are for the moment subjectively conditioned to our thinking, until our thought is carried out and submerged into the very ocean of universal subsense consciousness, attracting unto itself not only other thoughts, but taking hold on the subsense side of all those things, circumstances, conditions, and persons that are to be a part of its outward fulfillment. The whole mental mechanical and, to an extent, the mental chemical process connected with the visualizing of our career has perhaps taken from 10 to 30 minutes of quiet contemplation and reflection in our silence room, depending upon the time which we have taken to get comfortably settled and to concentrate upon our object. Now, however, since our thought image is submerged not only in our individualized subconsciousness, but in the universal subconsciousness of which our own is an inseparable part, it becomes a matter of development which may take hours, days, and even years to fulfill itself, depending upon certain mental laws which we apply, as well as upon the various modifications of those agencies which will introduce themselves, and which include ourselves, other minds, and those circumstances and conditions to which we must react, even though we subjectively control them. For this reason, we have ample time from day to day to go into our darkened room, which we now term our developing room, settling ourselves as comfortably as possible, letting ourselves relapse into the subjective state completely, and spending as much time there as we find our moods and daily affairs will allow. In these moments, we mentally lift our infilmed thought of our career from its subjective bath and quietly meditate upon it and review its progress subjectively, always remembering, however, that our examination of our mental picture is possible at any time and anywhere, at a railroad station, in a train, or while at work. And if we are true to our picture, we will find ourselves doing this, as we said before, without being consciously aware of this fact. Day by day or night by night, in our quiet room, or wherever and whenever we enter mentally into this subjective contemplation of our developing thought, we find ourselves patiently and lovingly and yet vigilantly watching for the first early outward indications and traces of our developing picture, knowing that here as elsewhere we must learn to labour and to wait. If we are anxious, it is now not the anxiety implied by fear or worry or doubt about the outcome, but rather an attitude which is best described as an attitude of eager expectancy, hard to restrain if we are intense. It is not the nervous tension or tenseness of impatience, but rather an eagerness to know how our reproduction fares, and we know, or should know, that it fares well. Alone in our subdued and darkened room, which is the best place for reviewing the progress of our picture, we sit and examine the outward appearing evidence of it, remembering that our developing understanding really is launched forth beyond the circumscribed and limited scope of individualized subconsciousness, beyond the limits of ourselves as units of mind light, and that it is developing as an infilmed form of mental light in that great universal everywhere of subjective subconsciousness, of which we are an inseparable part, formulating a structure of infinitely delicate texture out of this body-forming substance every moment and every hour. Unexpected persons, perhaps from a distance, having affinity or subjective kinship to our thought of money, business and home, now come to us in a seemingly miraculous manner. Seemingly trifling bits of information drift into our daily affairs. Casual words are said, books are loaned to us, letters are received, and 101 incidents of like kind transpire, which manifests solely for the purpose of becoming a part of our forming picture. As we quietly and meditatively review our picture with this fact in mind, we find perhaps a first faint indication of its outward development in the appearance of a distant friend who comes into our lives and whom we have not seen or in many years, or of a stranger we have never before seen, or in the form of an unexpected letter, or in the form of a casual introduction at the club or elsewhere. The distant friend may have returned as a man or woman of means, and in the course of conversation may casually mention the fact that he or she has some $5,000 in cash for investment. Probably we are asked if we know of a good local proposition, and instantly the remark relates itself to our own need for $5,000. The stranger may be looking to enter into a business in our part of the city or town which is similar to that with which our thought is concerned. The unexpected letter may contain a check which will serve as an initial payment on the merchandise necessary for our business, and our casual introduction may lead to a further introduction to a cashier or director of a bank who can provide the needed finance. Even while the picture of our money and business is forming itself, The associated object of a home for which our business will provide the means is also forming itself in perhaps a very remote, though nonetheless tangible way. Someone may give us some tapestries, someone a beautiful set of dishes, a catalogue of homes may come to us as the most remote indication. And so, as we watch our outwork in thought from day to day, taking account of it as it were, we find our career is beginning to work out most wonderfully, yet simply, just as we had pictured it. There is nothing remarkable, mystical, supernatural, or even unusual about this working out of our picture. It simply is a chain of sequences or consequences which are continually entering into and passing out of our lives unnoticed, except that in deliberate visualizing we become keenly conscious and alert as to their appearance and presence, and in this recognition we make the most out of them, as we should.